Yeah,
It is.
we are now recording Friday the 13th.
There we go.
September 13th, 2019. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Happy Friday. I wonder what that thumbnail's going to look like. Because we're all like, oh, it's Friday the 13th.
After September 11th. So it's been a fun week. And can we say overbooked? I was so overbooked this week, and everyone that I talked to was the same. Not only was my schedule in the toilet, everyone else's was too.
It's the moon.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Blame it on the moon.
I literally had 6 meetings in one day. It's like,
it just went down. Okay, well, Shannon had a fun week this week.
I did, but I thought we were talking about Tiffany first.
Oh, sorry. Tiffany, Tiffany, I've been watching you on Twitter and your video a day.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us about it?
Sure. So Twyla from Helm Cashflow, she had challenged a number of us to it was actually started out through a women's group, but then, we wanted to be inclusive. So everybody was able to join, men, everybody. And so it's a video per day for 30 days. And it's just to get you comfortable speaking in public, get you comfortable on video, get you comfortable with yourself. And it's not meant to be, just all business related. It's more about insights into who you are as a person and just get you comfortable on video. So it's been interesting.
It is interesting, and you are not the first person that I've seen do this. So I was wondering where this originated. I would say probably women's groups that I've known too. So there are several people I know that's done this. So what do you think? Is it working?
I don't know.
Comfortable?
Am I more? I don't know. I'm more comfortable speaking like this with you guys, like, and video and presenting and stuff. I find that being by myself and speaking, I'm nowhere near as animated as I am in real life. And so it's like every time I do the video, I've done it. It's like I go through it once so it doesn't sound like I'm a complete idiot, and then I just post it and I never listen to it again.
I've been watching, especially yours, and a lot of different people's videos, as many as I can. And I think it's a great idea. As somebody who obviously does a lot of video stuff, it takes a little while to become comfortable on video, right? So, and like Linda's a great example of it. At first, she was very anti-video, but now, look, she just went to Accountex and did the whole live stream and everything else all on her own. I was so proud of her. She did a great job. So nice. I think these kind of things are good for everybody.
Well, I think it comes down to what Sarah said, feedback. If you are just talking on a video, you don't know how people are responding to you. If you're talking in a group, if you're talking like us, we have a little bit of feedback, and we can tell, hey, wait a minute, maybe we ought to just move off of this topic. Where if you're just talking and speaking, you can go down the rabbit hole really easy.
Yeah, now the videos are only 60 seconds long. So there's not a lot of rabbit holes to go down in that short period of time, but yeah, I can totally see it.
I feel pretty confident I could get lost in a rabbit hole within 60 seconds.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Well, Shannon, what about your week?
Oh, it's fantastic. So I found out about it Friday night, just as I was, I had a whole weekend planned. I was home all by myself, and I had this fantastic game plan. But then I was alerted to the fact that MyPayrollHR, which is a payroll company out of Clifton Park, New York, suddenly and without warning, sent to all of their 4,000 customers email on Thursday last week saying that effective immediately, we're out of business and nobody will answer your calls or emails. So,
Wow.
Wow. I mean, that's
If
not a small company.
That's not bad enough, waking up and thinking that you have a payroll company and you have employees to pay tomorrow, and now all of a sudden you don't have the ability to do that.
Well, and you don't have the money because didn't they suck the money back out of all
that's
the
the
employees'
other thing.
accounts too?
Not only
Yeah.
did they not direct deposit, they sucked money out of people's accounts.
What?
well, that wasn't, I'm going to get to that here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
What happened?
MyPayrollHR, what they do is they sweep all the money from the employer's accounts, and they kind of act as a middleman. They suck all the money out of the accounts, and then they send the direct deposit to a bank, and then the tax deposits to another bank. And the bank where the direct deposits go to is called Cache Financial Services out of Pasadena, California. And they've been doing business with MyPayrollHR for 12 years. And so everything that they were, and this is part of the problem with automation and everything being automatic. The Cache Bank, they got the direct deposit file from MyPayrollHR. So they processed it, they stayed in the automated system. And so all of the push notifications to send the direct deposits to all the employees' banks went through. But Friday morning, when the transfers all happened, a big red flag popped up and said, hey, there's no money in the account, you're overdrawn. Because what somebody at MyPayrollHR did is they manually manipulated the deposit to bank. So it was not to Cache. It went into a savings account for one of the owner of MyPayrollHR. So the parent company of MyPayrollHR is ValueWise and owned by Michael Mann. And at some point, there is a local bank, I think it's Pioneer Community Bank in somewhere in New York is where his bank account is. They froze all of his accounts. It's unclear if there's actually any money in the accounts or if he drained the accounts before all this happened. But he has completely gone off the grid.
So he stole bukus of money and disappeared?
Yep, about $35 million.
That's enough to get lost.
Man.
Yeah, so
Wow.
the direct deposits that, so
The bank called back the payroll.
yeah, but they did it outside NACHA regulations.
Oh.
So not only if you were a business owner that had that payroll company, your payroll was sucked out of your account. And in some cases, more than what the money was in the accounts. And then that's where it got transferred and hijacked instead of going and direct depositing to your employees. So now you have employees to pay and that money is missing. And now you're overdrawn on your account.
So let me get this straight. All right, so I do payroll through QuickBooks Desktop. All right, we process by Wednesday. They draft on Thursday. Then they pay the employees on Friday. That way they make sure they have their money first before they pass the money on. So it's a similar process, but the money came out of the employer, went to the payroll company. The payroll company then says go to the employee accounts on Friday, but then took the cash.
Right.
So
Kind of.
it would be like Intuit going, all right, here's your payroll money. Oops.
Yeah, well, kind of. So there's another step in here. MyPayrollHR took the money, and instead of sending it to their ACH push account, they took the money. So there's an extra step in there.
I get it.
So with Intuit, when we process it through desktop, it comes straight out of your customer's account
Right.
and goes into their trust, into Intuit's trust account,
Right.
and then to the employees. How MyPayrollHR works is, Sarah, you process the payroll, so you pull the money out of your customer's account and then send it to Intuit, who sends it to the employee. So MyPayrollHR took all the money.
Oh.
So employers were left holding the bag.
Not only have you lost the cash that you were going to pay your employees and you still owe your employees, but if you have hundreds and hundreds of employees, that is major to find another payroll company and set it up.
Not to mention the cash flow of it. Like, think about how many companies are cash strapped. Like,
well, how many employees are cash strapped?
Yeah. So then Cachet Financial Services sent a stop payment on all the direct deposits, but the withdrawals were issued in the name of Cachet Bank, which is why we know to talk about them. And that transaction, really every single bank that got that notification should have rejected it, but most of them didn't, which is why the employees got their money drawn twice. Because they fixed the coding, because they never were, so Cachet Bank never was paid to push the direct deposits, but the employers paid. Right. So now what's happened is Cachet Bank has been getting a lot of bad press. So they've just said, you know what, refund everybody all of the amount that we withdrew from them. So in essence, Cachet Bank has paid the payroll for these companies because the employer money is gone.
Right.
So what, a lot of the really awesome employers who could afford to do it hand wrote checks to pay their employees. And then if they couldn't get the bank to return the money, so some of these employers have paid their employees 3 times. Once through the payroll company and then twice reimbursing them the amount that was withdrawn out of their bank accounts.
What a mess.
Well, and I know there was 2 companies that couldn't do it, and they were both restaurants, and their staff walked out.
Yeah, and close the company down. They're done.
That's what happens when you don't pay your employees.
Right, but the employers didn't do anything wrong.
No,
right.
No, I'm not saying that they did.
No, but you know what? They didn't have emergency money. Seriously, I mean, we get into, you never know as a business owner what kind of emergency is going to hit. Well, same thing with your personal. You're supposed to have a couple months worth of set aside, but that's not always reality.
Or available.
I'm also supposed to be 180 pounds at 5'10 and a half or so, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of supposed to's in the world, but sometimes things just don't go quite as you plan. So
wow.
That's
it's
tough.
everything. It's the taxes didn't get, this tax money was stolen too. When you think about, they didn't just have to reimburse net paychecks.
Gross.
They're going gross. So, the IRS is like, but then what do you do if somebody's been paid 3 times? Are they getting 3 paychecks? 3 times the tax?
They would get removed, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would.
Eventually,
so
they're not getting paid 3 times. They're getting the money that was taken out. So money was taken out inappropriately twice. That's being given back to them. So that's not actually being paid. That's just their money going back.
Reimbursing, right.
They still only got paid 1 time from that aspect of it. But
the employer was hit.
Yeah, I have a question. How established was this company, this payroll company? Were they
12 years?
12 years.
Oh.
That's pretty
And
long.
Michael Mann had owned them for 6.
How many years did you say?
12 years total.
Wow.
And so and
you hear horror stories about payroll. Anybody who takes your money in trust and you trust them to pay the government and pay your employees. I don't have bonds in that. I don't worry about Intuit. I had a client in DC using this company. I'd never heard of them. they were making mistake after mistake after mistake. And I got so nervous with them. And come to find out, when you would try to trace something, they'd have to get back to you. They were actually using QuickBooks Payroll.
Oh.
So it was really, in the end, it was QuickBooks, except that they were taking all the money, you know. So anyway, I talked the client into getting the, I don't know. But you know, they never did anything really. They had incompetent people, but I mean, it's not like they did anything really illegal.
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, everyone. Have a great weekend. Sorry for interrupting. Got to run.
Thank you.
Bye. Later.
I'm sure
Bye,
that guy probably,
Mariette. Bye, Mariette.
Hi, Mariette.
Hi, Mariette. Bye, Mariette.
Marietta.
We're talking about payroll companies and
I'm sure the
you're
owner of that,
entrusted with your money.
I'm sure the owner of that company's probably someplace where there's no extradition treaties, you know.
Oh, he planned this.
Using a different
We
name.
had to.
So we
But what?
that. He's no longer
36
Michael.
million?
35 million.
How old was he, Shannon?
I don't know how old he was. I can't even find any
Remember his
information
name?
on him outside of this
He
fraud.
said Michael Mann. That could be anybody.
That's the owner.
Yeah,
Shannon-
Somebody that did it?
if you Google Michael Mann, you get a movie executive, and I'm pretty sure it's not the same.
No, that's not him.
So,
So it just seems odd.
it was the owner or an
Imagine
employee?
somebody like 35
Owner.
million doesn't seem like enough to sell your soul to the devil. I'm just like, no,
Maybe
that's
they
not
need
That
enough.
would do it.
I need a lot more than that.
Yeah,
Some people do it for a lot less.
I suppose.
But so the Cache Bank, which is the direct deposit company, is out about 26 million, right around 26, 27 million. So then the other money is, I forget what the whole company name is, but it's NatPay is the tax depositor.
No, that was the other thing.
So there's another agency that then did the taxes.
Yeah. And so that's where the rest of the money was supposed to go. So,
Oh, here's the article on Krebs.
oh, that is the best article I found, is the one on Krebs.
Krebs has the best website ever.
Krebs on security
Krebs
is
on-
a great place to go.
But yeah, so all of the tax deposits that were supposed to be made before August 31st have been made. So anything that was supposed to be made in September hasn't been. They were all initiated or all started, but then rejected or returned for non-payment. So, you know, now all the scheduled tax payments are getting hit with the $25 NSF charge from the IRS too. Plus whatever the state
Banking
agencies-
charges and fees, right?
Yep. So what I did is I'm working on an abatement letter that I'm going to post in their Facebook group so that they can, you know, kind of fill in the blank, because it's going to be November before they're getting their letters from the IRS saying, you know, this payment wasn't made on time or that payment wasn't made on time. And then,
But the IRS is going to have to give them special treatment too.
Maybe with
Not
penalties and
necessarily.
interest, but you still have to pay the tax.
Right. Oh, no, I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying that, you know, all the penalties and fees and interest and all of that.
they'll still be assessed. It's up to each individual business owner to request an abatement from the IRS to not pay that penalty.
Yeah, for reasonable cause.
Right, I would say
And I
that's
mean, this
reasonable
is for,
cause.
yeah, I agree. So that's why, I mean, putting the abatement letter together isn't really a big deal. But, you know,
Right.
just,
I can see this backed up for years before it gets untangled.
Boy.
oh, right. You know, and I did a Q&A with the business owners today. And, you know, one of the big questions that they kept asking is, well, what if we don't get our money? You know, how long will it be before we get our money back?
They're not.
They're not.
They're not.
Probably not. And, you know, that was the really hard thing to tell all these people is
I'm sure.
count on
I would
getting your money back. It's
talk
gone.
to somebody in an insurance company and hope
Well,
that.
what about, aren't these places bonded and insured?
Yeah.
So Cachet Bank is up to $50 million. So
and
not,
now 26. So okay.
yeah. So I mean, it's well within their bond, but I really don't know anything about insurance.
It could be a loophole, like a lot of FDIC, like insurance. I think the reasons for the coverage, right? This could be a loophole of some sort. I mean, I don't know about the laws, but I imagine like it's FDIC insured if somebody robs the bank, if somebody like, I don't know, hacks the bank in a sense, where this could actually be proven. This isn't something where the bank necessarily did something wrong itself. And again, I don't know this for a fact, but that is definitely something that I could see people trying to pass the buck on it.
There
But
might
the-
be some due diligence requirements too on the part of the, you know, the employer to, you know, with the payroll company, or somebody might be able to use it. There might be something in their agreements about, you know, warranties and due diligence, and maybe that might be a way of weaseling out of it.
Shannon, wouldn't a payroll company have bonds and that kind of stuff to cover in case the owner does it?
I don't have to be bonded because the money for the payroll doesn't transfer to me.
Right.
So I would imagine that the way that MyPayrollHR did it is that they had to be bonded. But a lot of the stuff that is going on surrounding the company is not being made public right now for very obvious reasons.
Yes.
Everything has to go through the legal department.
Sure.
So, you know, the attorney for Cachet Financial Services is in the group now. This,
Got it.
and she's putting her contact information out there.
Right.
Their Pioneer Bank that they have in New York is
Right.
being, I think they released a statement this morning, and I haven't had time to take a
Right.
look and see what their statement said. And then, you know, NatPay is not saying anything at all.
Right.
So,
Was
you know, and that's the big unknown that I don't know if anybody knows, but, you know, NatPay, did they get the money for the quarterly taxes? Because, you know, FUTA is annual. Unless you hit thresholds, then you have to make deposits every time you hit
Right.
$500. And, you know, at this stage in the year, most companies have met that threshold,
Sure.
unless they have high turnover. And then, you know, your quarterly SUTA payment, I mean, did MyPayrollHR send that money to NatPay
Probably not.
on previous payrolls? You know, you know, who has the money is really the big unknown right now, which
I don't understand how, I could understand how MyPayrollHR redirected the funds from the client, from the payers to a bank account. They basically went to Cachet and said, you know, send it, instead of sending it to the employees, take this money out of the client's account, our client's accounts, and send it to this other bank, you know, which was controlled by them. But I don't understand how the money came out of the employees' accounts.
The banks recalled it.
The
They
bank
put it in and went, hey, we don't have anything to cover it, and they pulled it back out.
exactly.
At some point, sometimes they pulled it back out twice.
So there was an electronic
So
transaction
instead of
that
pulling it
occurred.
from the original person that should have put it in, they're pulling it out from the employee.
right, because
Oh, and it was all automatic. It was computers that did it.
Yeah.
It was not human beings.
a human being.
Oh, I love AI.
That's in Cachet's accounts.
Yeah.
then.
Yeah,
Right.
so, but a human at Cachet did initiate the first withdrawal, but
Okay.
did it in their own name. So when you're paying an employee's direct deposit, it is done in the name of their employer.
Mhm.
Ah. Oh, okay.
So they incorrectly did it in their own name. And then they fixed it, and they didn't cancel that because realistically, they trusted that the banks weren't going to accept it because they shouldn't have. And then when they did it again, they did it, you know, quote unquote correctly. And I am not clear if that was with or, you know, according to NACHA regulations or not.
Right.
Seems like the only money that anybody, you know, is out of, is the employees didn't get paid, and the clients had, the employers had the money that was going to go to the employees stolen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Think of the
That's right.
accounting fund for that too, for each of the
That's the
companies.
missing money. The other stuff is just
I would think that the,
transactions that
Well,
weren't necessarily malicious, just you know.
But that wasn't the only thing stolen also this week, right?
yeah. So
Yeah,
what
Shannon, you had a lot of fun this week. This was
What else
Shannon's
got
week.
stolen, Matthew?
Oh, I'll get to that. Do we want to take a break from me and let Matthew talk about QBO Advanced and then come back to what else got stolen this week? Or do we want to
Well,
just...
we're almost out of time.
Well, yeah, we were going to
Yeah, a
talk
little
about
over.
the October 19th changes in QBO, but we'll come back to that.
Okay.
We'll just let you
I
go.
want to
quick.
hear the end of the story.
Yeah, the
The
rest.
rest of the
story.
story.
So me being the helpful person and knowing what I know about payroll, I wrote this really awesome blog post and shared it in the group for the people affected with the MyPayrollHR shutdown. I also shared it on my own page, and I shared it in a few other pages. And another company who apparently didn't know that plagiarism is not an ethical way to operate a business,
That's right.
they took my post, I've counted 15 edits,
Oh,
and you know, in those 15 edits, they created 3 typos.
Instead of them being taking your name out.
And then they created a press release and sent it out as their own work.
So the company that actually did the press release, they're getting a lot of bad. Matthew's playing music. He's being silly. That one you?
No.
it might be Dennis.
Just because I'm a joker all the time doesn't mean I'm always the guilty one.
So Business Wire is one of those websites that distributes
Press
content
releases.
for other companies that people pay them to distribute.
Yep.
So they just said, hey, you know, some company's paying us to distribute it. Why, they don't vet, I'm sure.
No.
Press releases or articles, you know, and, you know, it's the original author that, you know.
Well, congratulations, Shannon.
He plagiarized it. They can hack. I don't know, on Facebook, what do they know? And then as his own, his boss probably thought it was awesome. And then, you know, I'd love to hear the backstory to that. But.
So all I know is that, a bunch of people must have taken it upon themselves to, once this was discovered, took to Twitter, and I signed up with a Twitter account so I could get tagged or mentioned or whatever in the post, but my inbox got flooded with emails that were sent to this company, and they copied me on it. And
Awesome.
another person, one person sent me a Facebook message and said, hey, I sent this email. They called, and they're Pacific time, so they called me at 6:30 this morning. What do you want to do? I'm like, just have them call me. I'll talk to them. So like within a minute, one of the guys at the company is American Time and Labor Company, and their Twitter thing is at Labor Suite.
What
And
do they do? What kind of company are they?
they're a payroll and HR company. Because we want to have ethical people in the payroll world right now. And
Oh yeah, we don't have enough of them.
That's so ironic.
so they, this guy named Jeff Thompson or Tompkins called me and wanted me to tell him what I wanted him to do. And I said, well, I want you to fix the press release, give me credit for writing it, and remove your information from the post.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I sent him, my,
What a gift card to Chris.
I sent him my, the logo and my 100-word, whatever that is called. I'm forgetting what it is.
Bio?
Elevator speech.
Yes, that's it. And my contact information. And all they did was add my contact information and stuff to theirs and didn't put my logo up. And then, so they sent me an email telling me that it was all done and everything. And I said, no, not quite. And I tried again. They called me and were just really horrible. And they're like, I don't know
They're
what.
the ones that are unethical and they're giving you a hard time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Yeah. So he's like, well, I don't know what
You had any attorneys call you? Any, ambulance chase?
You have an attorney.
I do. I have, in my office is wonderful. We have insurance, business insurance agents, work comp, and a couple attorneys and wealth advisors in my building.
They need to make a phone call.
Yeah, I talked to the attorney and I'll tell you what she said later. But he's like, well, I don't know what you want us to do. We did everything you asked. And I said, no, you were supposed to take yourself completely off this thing.
You didn't write it.
It doesn't work that way. We paid
It doesn't work that way.
for this press release and you're getting all this free publicity now. I'm like, you're giving me free publicity. You stole my original content.
And nobody made you steal it.
Right, exactly.
Like, well, the person who submitted it, we're going to talk to them and find out exactly what happened. I'm
We'll
like,
get your money back from them.
happened.
That's right, exactly. They should be the one paying. But on the other side, on the flip side, Shannon, you got a lot of good press for you.
I did.
And you
Yes.
got a Twitter
Whatever.
account.
Yes.
And nobody stole all your payroll. Hallelujah.
No, and just the outpouring of what everybody in the accounting community did. I mean, seriously, my phone was blowing up. My husband's trying to sleep and he's getting all mad because it's a new phone and I don't know how to, turn the notifications off. So I ended up just shutting the volume off on my phone so he could sleep. But I mean, you guys seriously made me cry because of all the love and support.
Yeah, that's
It was
God, I was like a mother bear, man. I was like, you don't do that to my friend.
Exactly.
Do that to anybody, but much less my friend.
Yes, exactly. So, it was phenomenal, So
Well, I'm
I
glad
wonder
there was
if you
good
get-
that came out of it, and I'm glad that you were not financially impacted.
Well, I wonder if that was awesome content. That you're valuable in your writing skills. I mean, you just took all that
You
knowledge.
should be
and
writing
went, "Oh my
more
gosh."
and getting paid for it, Shannon.
Yeah, this is what I would do in this emergency.
see, but my problem is I'm such a perfectionist. I have a whole bunch of half-done blog posts, but this one, so I found out about this at 5 minutes to 5 my time, and I, researching for this theft, I found my first post that I put on Facebook, and it was at 6:22.
That's because you're passionate about the topic. I mean, this is your area. I mean,
Yeah.
And all these people are hurting. I mean, that's sort of the way I envisioned it, I guess, that, there's all these people that are harmed.
The content right away, because, I mean, at that time, last Friday, we had no idea if the website was going to stay up, and there's so much information.
How many clients do we have that have never gone on ADP and ever downloaded anything?
A lot.
Really?
Most. And I do, it's just, I have to have copies everywhere, but, you just think that the stuff is not going to go away. But.
Well, the website is still up, and there are people that still haven't found a new payroll solution, and they have weekly payroll. Mm-hmm. So they are still processing their payroll on there, but yes, because they're getting their pay stubs.
Yeah.
And then handwriting checks. So,
they're
manual
using the payroll company for the calculations.
Yes.
And then they go, here's the list of checks you need to print.
Yep. So what they're doing is they're printing the pay stubs from there, and then you can.
They're doing them all as manual. It's like a whole manual run. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the time, once you have the printed pay stubs, you can copy them onto a check.
Yeah.
Got it.
Huh. Oh, well, that's good, because that's where all the history is, and as long as then the client figures out how to pay their own taxes and things, but that's where people like us
can come in and step in and help out, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, we are a little bit over time, but I did want to mention October 19th, big changes coming to QBO. Matthew.
Super fast version of this. I'll actually put links for the talk that Linda and I did on, I think it was Monday. Basic version of it is this, that actually by October 28th, when anybody who is in QuickBooks Online plus whichever version, the usage limits that had been implemented at the beginning of the year, those limits, if you are not in compliance with those limits as of October 28th, hard deadline, very hard deadline, your account may be suspended as soon as the next billing cycle comes about. To avoid the complication of what we mean by billing cycle, because that could vary by day, hard deadline, October 28th. If you are out of compliance on your limits, that means chart of accounts, you must be less than 250 chart of accounts. Classes and locations, you must be less than 40 combined between the two. Users must be, less than basically five or less. Otherwise, your account will be suspended. Once it becomes suspended, the only way to get it reactivated, much like if you had a bad credit card that is no longer valid, you would actually have to call into it. They will then take your account, upgrade you to QuickBooks Online Advanced. By doing that, that puts it back into compliance because you have the ability to use the additional features. You will be paying for a full month of QuickBooks Online Advanced. If after that point in time, you were to feel that that was not the best fit for your client, you would have to bring your account back into compliance by reducing the numbers appropriately, and then you could at that point downgrade to a different subscription level, but the charge for the month is not prorated. That means you're paying their full amount for that month.
So your penalty for not dealing with this before the end of October is we're going to hit you for at least a month.
Right.
If not, you're now in advance.
Yeah, so super important is when your account is suspended, it means also your payroll account is suspended. So don't have a situation where you find yourself unable to do anything with payroll. You want to make sure you're in compliance.
All right, so inactive. So we inactivate them and they'll be okay?
Yes, now there's a couple things to do with that as well. So chart of accounts is the biggest one, right? Okay. There's a known kind of loophole that if you have a QuickBooks desktop company file and you take that and import that up into QuickBooks Online, Those accounts do not count towards the actual number of chart of accounts. Okay? And Intuit's actually even acknowledged this, which is why I'm now saying it out loud. Otherwise,
Well, did most of us come from? I guess not. Come from desktop.
No.
So
we're
with that
probably
in
not in
mind,
danger.
the other part of it would be any applications that create certain accounts, like payroll creates certain accounts. Those specific accounts, if those are the accounts you end up trying to merge or delete to reduce your number, they will not impact you. That means, in other words, it's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, that means if you're over 250 accounts and those are not even going towards your number, how many accounts do you have? Like,
that's what I'm thinking. Really,
So,
it's not a bad idea to reduce your chart of it. You need to
merge
some
accounts.
people do. Some people with classes do. I have
Classes, it can happen easily, right? And the logic is, if you're actually going over that, like if you're a larger law firm with a lot of trust accounts, there's some good reason why you could be using QuickBooks Online Advanced. Most companies, if you truly need that, like if you're going outside the limits, it is a good suggestion for the
Go advanced.
to advanced. I do recommend to people to merge accounts as best you can, instead of, don't just make them inactive, merge from one into another. That will make one of them inactive, but then takes the data nice and cleanly across. If you do make accounts or classes inactive, so for classes, it's not good enough to just turn classes off. That won't.
Somebody got dinged. They go, "What classes? I don't use classes." And it was
have to make it inactive. Have to. And by doing that, what's beautiful though is historical reporting will still demonstrate those classes and say that the account's inactive or deleted, but your historical reporting is still valid, still good.
What about then? Why do we have to merge?
On the chart of accounts primarily. So with chart of accounts, I find that because people are having issues of which accounts are going to do what, quite often you probably have too many sub accounts. So if you're merging different sub accounts, that's still going to keep you in, it's still going to match to a tax return appropriately. And that's a nice clean way to push data into the same. I don't like seeing deleted on my chart of accounts when I'm pulling up older stuff. So the merge is just a little bit cleaner way to do it, my personal opinion.
Too bad they don't make it easy to like pull it down a desktop list, clean up, and put it up pretty. Because some people just
they don't let you do that at all anymore.
Yeah, I will say that as a pro advisor on QBO, I have been getting this week a notice that I have some clients that are not in compliance, and you can push a button and see which clients they were.
Oh, that's good.
Fortunately, I only had one that I'm no longer working with.
Is it on our dashboard or something? On our
It's on the dashboard as soon as you log in. When you have your list of clients, it pops up at the top where the other.
It's going to get bigger too. So for about 2 weeks prior to that 28th deadline, you're going to get a big pop-up that's telling you, you better do this. Don't delay. So
I don't see anything. You think I'm good?
So you must be good then.
Yeah.
Aha. Yeah.
Well, and then when you go into each customer's company file, it will tell you how many accounts they're using that count towards the 250 limit. And if you try to merge or delete or make inactive an account that's not gonna do it, it gives you an alert there too. Like, removing this account won't reduce your usage, or it will reduce your usage.
Where do I go once I go in? I go to the
gear icon at the top right. Once you go to gear icon, you'll go to company settings. On the far left tab from there, you would then see usage would be the second one down on the left.
Accountant settings.
See, stop memorizing that stuff and put more information in. It's useful.
It shows up on if you go to their chart of accounts too.
Usage. Here we go.
And so anybody that
It says I have 16 accounts, and I know I have. So that must be because I came from.
That's great. Yep. And so those are fine. I will say, like, let's be real about it. As soon as the developers figure out a way to accurately, like, break those apart, that's going to go away. So don't be thinking you're going to be able to.
Don't thinking you're safe.
Well, where do I go to find out how many I really have? Like with desktop, I just go to the,
But your chart of accounts.
Oh, okay.
It'll list them there. So one other thing that, trying to be helpful wise, we found like with C data, for me, going in to inactivate classes is not that difficult of a challenge.
Yeah.
So people that, if you're faced with having to do this with a lot of classes, reach out. I need to know how much is involved. I will charge a fair amount just because of some time it would take to do it.
Right.
But I can do it much, much faster. Like, as long as we know which ones, I can do it probably within 20 minutes on the classes, on chart of accounts. It can also be done that it requires a deeper level of a conversation to figure out where data has to go to. So if assistance is needed, let us know.
Absolutely.
What, I'm in my chart. Yeah. You said that has
If you go to the very bottom, it'll say 175 out of 232 or something like that. That's kind of how I cheat and look. Because a different number of pages.
just keep on going. Oh, it went all the way to 242.
So you have 242 accounts.
You're close. All righty. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we close for this week?
I'll say one super quick little teaser. I had
Okay.
a really good conversation with somebody today about the QB Grand Prix. Looking really, really good. Should have an answer by midweek next week on how much of a go it is for QuickBooks Connect.
And so I want to see you riding on one of those little bird bikes.
You better believe it. I'm going to win.
Okay. All righty, everybody. We will see you same time, same place next week.
Bye.
Bye.